A very good evening and warm welcome to Eswatini TV News at 8. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Nduguhle Masugu, and standing with me tonight is Nomatlabiso Nkambule. Let's take a look at tonight's headlines. The Minister of Finance says the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill will help close holes in the public purse. The Minister for Tourism and Environmental Affairs says the country needs to consider that infrastructure should be resilient to the effects of climate change. Infants and males have been found to be resistant to antibiotics. Well, let's get straight into the news in detail. The Minister of Finance, Neil Rickenberg, says the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill will help close holes in the public purse. Rickenberg says this bill will also place improved controls on trading accounts. The minister has said this in Senate following the second reading of the bill.
Finance Neil Rickenberg, when unpacking this bill, said this legislation is ideal because it puts improved controls on the public purse. Senators had questions.
Revenue expenditure nako konke nema fraud lokwendekako nje lokukhona ukuthi lapha sesitawukhanza sekungcono kakhulu yini ukuthi lokho sesitaba nje ngathi nje sesitawuhlala singanako ukwesaba ukuthi imali letithile might be misused or maybe over expenditure and stuff.
Lo mthetho lo lesifuna kuwenda lo ufuna kuthini suka nguva kahle noma ngoba lamandla lesi akhona kuloku umthetho lebakushoko lo khona la kutaba nenkinga khona
umuntu nje ufuna kuva abutela mhlambe nesive ngaphandle ukuthi kuenzabeni yesisithi A lesayisithi namuhla le trading account nani konke la kubala bo ngengena minister la kulomthetho la ufaka ukuthi kuhamba njani nabe kuhamba kahle nabe kuhamba kabi noma khona la kungahambi kahle khona lele sikwendako nako kutawufika ku correct yini le mthetho lesushaya ukuthi khona la utawufika ulekelele khona enzabeni yase city.
The minister responded.
Trading accounts have again always been there for the last period of time, and all we are doing is once again we are clarifying how trading accounts are going to be working and the fact that we are still allowing trading accounts in the amendments that we're bringing today. Abuse on the trading accounts. I think what we have found, the reason why we all know about trading accounts and the CTA issues was maybe highlighted was the fact that there was abuse on trading accounts, Madam President. So from this point of view, what we have, where there's a lot of protection built in, are the regulations.
As this bill has now passed through Senate, it will now be deliberated by the Finance Portfolio Committee. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela with Temba Shabangu. Babani.
The Minister for Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Moses Vilagati, says the country needs to consider that infrastructure should be resilient to the effects of climate change. The minister says there is also a need for local towns to go green, especially those that are yet to be constructed. Vilagati was speaking during the last day of the Eswatini inaugural Green Indaba held in Eswatini.
The Eswatini inaugural Green Indaba 2023 created a platform for the private sector and government to find a long-lasting solution towards green finance. Speaking during the last day of the meeting, the Minister for Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Moses Vilagati, says there is a great need for the formulation of framework for companies looking to go green.
If other countries have benefited through green bonds, through greening, to carbon credits, why can't Eswatini benefit through that? And that was really the major question. And I think if our take home would be, how are we able to do this? How can we be able to do it timely? If we can only implement, things are going to move forward. Government is prepared to support the private sector. And this was private sector led.
The UNDP Resident Coordinator's representative, Excellent Hachilema, says UNDP is aware of the opportunities and challenges that exist in the green finance space. The Green Indaba is expected to be hosted annually and is aimed at bringing everyone on board towards achieving Agenda 2030 and the Paris Agreement. For Eswatini TV News Sondomlangeni, Mbongwa Dube, Ezulwini.
The King's Advisory Council Chairman Paul Dlamini says Eswatini can be counted among first world countries as pronounced by His Majesty the King if Eswatini can unite. Dlamini says this cannot be divorced from Parliament and government working together to foster peace. Dlamini has said this when council members registered for the national elections at Lozita on Tuesday.
King's Advisory Council Chairman Paul Dlamini says the fruits of a united Eswatini is everyone living well off. Dlamini then encouraged Eswatini to continue registering for the national elections.
Kufanele sibe nahulumende lowakhiwa ngebuqotho nembala ke lo sesibhalisile nje sesiyacabanga ke ukuthi inkosi itawuthuma bobani ngoba inkosi imemethela lokhetho nje ibheke ukuthi sive sayo sitayikhethela abantu letabathuma kube neparlamente kube necabinet nale ngaphandle kunelibandla lelinenduna yenkundla ekukhetheni ke kusita ngalokuthi simcabangisise lo muntu njoba isho iconstitution sibuke ukuthi umuntu lesimnika inkosi ngilonjani nalembili nasekusetshenzwa umuntu lotawunaka tidzingo tesive kuhlupheka kwesive inhlala kahle yesive.
Dlamini also applauded Eswatini for heeding to the King's command to register for the national elections. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela with Temba Shabangu, Lozita.
Infants and males have been found to be resistant to antibiotics. This has been said by Assistant Director Pharmaceutical Services at the Ministry of Health, Thulima Gagula, during the presentation of the findings of a research on the use of antibiotics in the country for the years 2016 to 2018. The event was held at Hilton Garden Inn in Babane.
The widely used antibiotics, according to the Assistant Director Pharmaceutical Services Thulima Gagula, include penicillin, nitromidazole, and tetracyclines, to name a few.
We did pick up that our infants and our male are the ones that are more likely. We are with a suspicion that our male gender, it's their health-seeking behaviors where they usually come when it's late and when the condition is at an advanced stage. And you may find that at that moment, you find that we need to use more stronger and powerful medication, even including those antibiotics. Our infants and our children, they are most likely to be exposed to the same antimicrobials which we have since used, and the organism that they will affect them. You find that it's the infections that it's now resistant. So we are urging the public that we should start using this so that we can preserve the generation, preserve the drugs as well.
The ministry has stated that it will now work with relevant stakeholders to ensure that information is disseminated on the correct use of antibiotics. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Ngamandla, Mbongwa Dube, Mbabane.
Government has built a drainage system at Makholweni community under Mazini North Ingundla to prevent flooding of businesses and homesteads during heavy rains. The constituency headman Fana Tabetse says 200 homes and businesses were affected by flooding before the completion of the drainage.
Basically, the whole area became swampy every time there is excessive rain, and we had to come in and intervene by creating a drainage system which covered about 800 meters. Due to that completion of that project, we have basically saved the whole homesteads in terms of them living in a swampy area, which resulted in some ablution facilities loaded with water, and the whole yards in most communities was loaded with water. So now that problem has been resolved.
The constituency headman Vana Tabete says 200 homesteads will benefit from the drainage system, including businesses.
Bekuyinfo lebeyithingeka kakhulu not per se kusive lesilana kuphela yini because la kusuka khona lamanti asuka ku main road lobheka embekelweni so bekunenkinga vele bekefike eme khona kakhulu lamanti but ke ngekufika kwale drainage lesive sisuke sathola ukuthi sisithuthukiseka kakhulu.
The Member of Parliament, Markford Sibanze, details the plight of the people before the drainage system was built.
It's something that was horrific to the community for more than 20 years. More than 200 families are going to benefit. But the thing is, it did not affect only Manzini North. It affected Skombeni, it affected Lutse, and everybody was using the road. But the worst effect was on the communities.
Government, through micro-projects, continues to bring projects to communities. Some of the projects include classrooms, bridges and community halls. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamanda, Mbongwa Dube, Manzini.
The Eswatini Environment Authority says traditional leaders should avoid allocating to people land that is near rivers. This follows reports that Mlindazo residents fear that the Mbabane River is slowly widening and might eventually reach their homes. The authority says there is danger in having people allocated land near rivers.
This broadcaster reported that Mlindazo residents fear the widening Mbabane River, which appears to be coming closer to their homes. Some residents were reported to have abandoned construction after seeing this threat. The Eswatini Environment Authority says people should not be allocated land near rivers.
Imithetho yelive vele iye issue lokuthi asakheni 33 meters away from lomfula ngaleti inkinga leti lesingakusho nje kwamanje kuleso sive kungaba ngikho ukuthi mhlawumbe bangathola abomagabions bazame ukusekela lapho kudzilika khona ukuthi umhlaba utokhona lokuthi ubambeke kepha ke vele nangabe leti imvula setina kakhulu kutaba khona lokubhedvuka kungaba nje kucela esiveni ukuthi indzawo ingabukeka ungazuthi seyomile mhlawumbe ebusika naso toqala ukuthi ubeka libali basebenzise labantu bendzawo bakuchazele ukuthi letinto letindzawo ukhanza kusiti hosha noma ukhanza ukuthi bekumadede asasha kungafika letimvula letinkulu kugcina sekuyinkinga vele.
The Frontiers website states that urbanization and population growth are some of the factors that cause water pollution. Once rivers are polluted, people get diseases. This then speaks to the importance of moving people far away from rivers. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela with Mbongwa Dube Mbabane.
The Eswatini National Agricultural Union has received 60 applications from young people who need support in starting and growing their businesses. The SNAU's Director Lwazimamba says the union, in partnership with Finclud, is looking to assist young people with farming inputs and feed for poultry and piggery, which will help to curb unemployment.
Following the increase in prices of farming inputs, Finclud, together with the Eswatini National Agricultural Union, is working on supporting young people who are interested in receiving support to grow their businesses. According to the SNAU Director, Lwazimamba, the applications are open to farmers who farm a quarter of a hectare.
Kulabanda ema-vegetables singasho ukuthi lokungenani kufuna kube ngumuntu lo lima enzaweni lengaba kusukela kukota yelhectare kuya etulu kulaba fuye inkukhu siyababuka ukuthi loyo lofuye inkukhu mhlambe letingu une category ekuqala ke lapho labafuye 100 elabanye labafuye 200.
Mamba says the application processes are done online. Mamba says farmers will be provided with farming inputs and feed instead of cash. Mamba says this time they are targeting 80 individuals from across the country. Mamba says such initiatives are meant to ensure that young people are part of the drive of being a food-secure country, while young people are able to create employment. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, Mbongwa Dube, Manzini.
Let's take a look at the financial indicators. And now into your sports roundup, we begin with news from the Eswatini National Football Association, which has announced the return of futsal program that aims at developing football from the youngsters, especially at school level. The communications officer of the association, Muzi, says futsal was last played in 2019 prior to COVID-19, where the program was then disturbed by the pandemic.
We begin our sports roundup with the Eswatini National Football Association that has announced the return of futsal program that aims at developing football from the youngsters, especially at school levels. According to the communications officer of the association, Mozehadebe, futsal was last played back in 2019 prior to COVID-19, where the program was disturbed by the coronavirus. However, it is in the association's plans to return the program as early as next year of the football calendar. Moving on in women football, the association has applauded different stakeholders who continue to contribute to the development of women football in the country.
Siyajabula kakhulu njengoba nje kule weekend lesisuka kiyo besidlala yona i-tournament yaka-Insta Cash leqhubeka kona kule weekend.
Dandwe Ngosi Hlatshwayo, who is the association's chief operations officer, says this contribution will soon begin to produce results at the national team level. She says this season there were at least 3 competitions, including the Women's National League.
Siyabona ukuthi lama sponsorships adlala ligalelo lelikhulu ikakhulu ka women football.
And in our international news, 10 points has been deducted for the Italian giants Juventus after allegedly being found in transfer dealings. The 10 points mean the Turin side will miss the European competitions as they have now dropped to 7th in the League of Serie A. In January, 15 points was deducted with allegations of match fixings. But in April, the court ruled in their favor, requesting that they should regain their 15 points, but still the investigation was still open. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabiso Msonera, Mbabane.
And that's how we reach the end of tonight's news bulletin. But before we leave you, here is a reminder of the headlines. The Minister of Finance says the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill will help close holes in the public purse. The Minister for Tourism and Environmental Affairs says the country needs to consider that infrastructure should be resilient to the effects of climate change. Infants and males have been found to be resistant to antibiotics. All right, that's how we reach the end of tonight's bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. From all of us here at Eswatini TV, it's good night.
Balenciaga provoked uproar when it ran a campaign that featured child models wearing BDSM-style harnesses and found itself accused of promoting child pornography. Balenciaga, whose much talked about show unfolded amidst a mud-clogged landscape and which featured Kanye West, who was later dropped by the label for a series of anti-Semitic tweets. The year had started out well for the label, offering an homage to the victims of the war in Ukraine by revealing its winter 2022 show against a hostile backdrop. A mise-en-scène informed by the experience of the label's creative director. Demna Gvasalia was forced to flee his native Georgia in 1993 during the civil war exacerbated by the Kremlin. Journalists and buyers are seated comfortably behind a screen, a symbol of the illusion of safety. This past year, Russia's invasion of Ukraine dominated the news cycle, and the world of fashion was paying attention. Berlin Fashion Week paid homage to Ukrainian designer Jean Gritzfeldt.
Of course, you know, I'm not afraid of the death, because I really believe that the death is not the end. And if God, say that my way is to be there, or to go and to fight, I will be fighting.
Tunis Fashion Week, with its breathtaking desert backdrop, welcomed designer Kristina Laptso, also from Ukraine. Paris, meanwhile, chose to honor yet another Ukrainian designer, Lilia Litovska.
Big part of my family with me today, my daughter, my mother, my hero, my husband, who is officer, military officer, but he has a injury, yes, injury, and now he is in rehabilitation and he supports us today.
Maria Grazia Curie at Dior, meanwhile, entrusted the decor of her show to Ukrainian multidisciplinary artist Olesia Trofimenko.
We talked about, we have made something optimistic, yeah, at least it was the right decision to do something about life, not about death.
A worldwide raw materials crisis exacerbated by the Ukraine-Russia war wrought havoc on the textile industry, but fashion knows how to turn crisis into opportunity. The industry is notoriously polluting, and for years we've known the importance of shaking up production. It all points to recycling.
All the looks you can see here in orange, blue, pink, with that black print. All of that used to be towels that we took and transformed into clothes. When it's really hot, you can dry yourself off. It's practical. There were also some silk scarves that became those finale dresses. All the jeans were also recycled. Old jeans that aren't being used anymore, that we take and turn into new jeans. The idea is to collect stuff, give it a new lease of life, to take what's there and to transform it, using our creativity to create the fashion of tomorrow.
And if we're to believe the hype, tomorrow will consist of two types of reality, real and virtual. At the French Institute of Fashion in Paris, students are preparing for the future.
We're basically today scanning silhouettes of 43 designers, and which are taking basically only one silhouette, and I'm taking photogeometrical scans within 150 to 180 images and create through that the sculpture.
The virtual realm offers them new perspectives and new possibilities for creativity. There's no distinction. There's this sort of fluidity, and what we wanted to show, especially with the accessories, was how we could push the limits of creativity even further if we embrace the possibilities of a new technology that allows you to create objects for this new virtual world, a world we're calling the metaverse.
A world of opportunities, or a deal with the devil?
Maybe for some people, the metaverse will prove to be an artificial paradise. But what's clear today is that a lot of companies that are investing colossal sums of money are very much seeing this as a new commercial paradise. But of course, as we already know from social media, there's also the risk that people end up getting stuck in their own bubbles. So yes, there's a lot of hope, a lot of concerns too. We'll have to wait and see what comes of it all.
The question now, what exactly will fashion look like in 2023?
From club to country, Euro and AFCON qualifiers call on our international stars.
Big names everywhere you look.
More tears and cheers.
Crank up the music! Charge your glass!
More showmen.
Three weights in the middle, including Abu Bakr. What power on that header! Harry Kane! England's priceless gem!
And showstoppers. More of the game that we love most.
It was too much.
More football awaits. Stay connected to catch the best international football live on SuperSport.
Hi guys, my name is Nogwazi Dlamini and this is Brains on the Go. Our journey on Brains on the Go has taken us to Makosini High School. Not to be surprised, we got lost obviously. We missed our turn which was on the right and we actually